Hello, and welcome to another episode in the McCave. I'm here today with my good friend Mozart. Mozart and I are very good friends, isn't that right, Mozart? That's why he's looking at me so affectionately. You see, in our last episode, which we will put a link to somewhere, if YouTube still lets you do that, because they take away everything. That pause is for emphasis. Then, well anyway, in our last video, I mistook our friend Beethoven for Mozart. Or at least I thought I did. I was having doubts as to who was who, and I figured it out. Anyway. Today, we have an important little discovery in the world of SJW Marvel. You see, it has been common speculation that this trend started in about 2013, is that what you'd say, thereabouts? Somewhere there. Well, I'm afraid that I have some bad news. This has been going on since 1996, and I found it an issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, which I got from Buzz Comics and Beardy Weirdies, those guys, Chris Rigo and I forget the other guy's name.
Josh Elman.
Josh Elman. They're good guys, good folks. They've got some good comics for good prices and stuff. Go check them out. You may be able to find some of our comics through them one day.
Hopefully.
But yes, this issue of Amazing Spider-Man, it's a celebration. It's a celebratory issue. It's The Amazing Spider-Man 96, Blast from the Past, 64 big pages, and, you know, it seems to be innocent enough. In fact, it seems to be celebrating the old Marvel we know and love, so how could this be SJW? Well, I'll tell you how. It doesn't start off that way. The first story in here is, to my knowledge, because I'm not the biggest Spider-Man buff, but it seemed very vaguely familiar. It seemed like they were kind of rehashing an old story. An old classic Gwen Stacy story. And then we got a brand new story based on the time where he was in his black costume, his symbiote costume. But you see here that this is what the problem is. The dialogue is that of Spider-Cuck. Spider-Man bursts in saying, "Hey, kiddies! Do you know what time it is? I'll give you a hint. One hand's on the spider, and the other is..." Can you see where it's going? Can you see where it's going? Do you know where it's going? Because, it's in your face! Classic Spider-Man wit, right? No. And this is actually, as you can tell by the costume, this is Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. So then you can justify it by going, oh, well, it's Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. Except no, we go on to read here that because of the convoluted clone saga, Ben Reilly is actually Peter Parker, the real Peter Parker, and the Peter Parker that we've been seeing is actually the clone Ben Reilly. So they somehow got switched. And yeah, so it is Peter Parker, Spider-Man here that he's not displaying any of the usual. Get us out of here.
Ow.
I abuse Manny behind the scenes. And we see basically that this is when he was apparently not Peter, who was with Gwen Stacy, and we see that Norman Osborn, who's son of the Green Goblin, or is it Harry Osborn? Which one is which?
I believe it's Harry Osborn's the son.
I could easily read the dialogue and figure it out, but I'm too lazy to do that right
Yeah,
now. I've already read this thing once. That's enough for me.
I think it's Harry Osborn's the son.
Yeah. But he always has this stupid hair that bothers me. Let me see if I can get a better shot of it. Look at that. That kind of hair, like, I've never understood that. That's always bothered me about their hair. Like,
He's half black.
yeah, like, what's up with that? But anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We still have 64 big pages to go through. The best part about this comic is the John Romita Sr. contribution to the artwork, but he was actually only doing the ink work, but the penciler Ron Frenz is drawing in that old school style anyway. So it has that nice classic look to it. For a little while anyway. I lost track of my pages, it's very unorganized. We're still figuring out the system of doing things. Don't worry, we won't let it run like 40 minutes this time. So, classic, you know, the Gwen Stacy's father's a detective, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm getting this lead on who Spider-Man might be, and he's like, oh no, I hope he doesn't find out that it's me. And then, you know, he's like, oh, my son's a fag, ah! That's basically what this entire thing is. And then we get some Craven action. I bet you were craving for that.
No.
He kids, folks. So we got Craven. He has to save his henchman from his pet tiger. It's apparently, much like Manny's pet dog, they just dislike the newcomer. Oh yeah! No, this is not a robot chicken head, folks. That's what action figures actually used to look like.
He's big on action.
He's Action Man. He's 12 inches. Action Man is big. It says that right there. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Action Man is big.
That's right, he's the full 12 inches, folks.
Whoa, that's bigger than me.
Wow, look. That blurry vision was caused by all that blood rushing to your areas.
My head.
Yeah. Which one? You know, he's trying to sell his Spider-Man pictures to J. Jonah Jameson, which is my father, before he realized that the Hitler stash was not cool. And you know, the problem I have here is just like, it's just kind of hitting all the beats of Spider-Man. It's not really like exploring any new territory, and I'm not even positive on whether or not this is a rehash of an old thing or if it's just meant to seem that way as some sort of throwback. You know, he's just like, these pictures stink, Parker. They've got no heart, no soul. You'll never improve as a photographer unless you're willing to sacrifice yourself for your craft. Don't hold back, JJ. Tell me how you really feel. You want the pics or not? The pics? The P-I-X-S? The pics? Like, oh, I don't have it. I let my brother have it. I was just about to pull out my classic Spidey anthology and show you some actual good Parker comebacks to J. Jonah Jameson. Anyway, and then, you know, he's meeting with the reporter dude who's friends with the Gwen Stacy's dad detective, and he's like, oh yeah, I'd like to discuss this whole thing about figuring out Spidey's identity with you. He's like, with me. Not at all acting suspiciously. No one would ever suspect him of being Spider-Man after that. So they're dancing, and Mary Jane's shaking her stuff, and you know, enjoying life, not being Iron Man's secretary, because she's so much more empowered that way. And the dad shows up, and one of the subplots going on here is, should we tell Dad that we're dating, even though it's like freaking obvious to anyone who's not blind. And he's like, oh no, my spider senses tell me the you know, Craven's here. Oh, I gotta go be Spidey. And then at the same time, we get some Green Goblin henchmen causing a ruckus with the what is it, Captain Stacy? I think that's his rank. Well, like, look, let's get to some of this dialogue here. Craven shows up and he's like, "Wait, the wind shifts and my jungle-trained senses suddenly perceive an enemy. I hope that's not your oh-so-subtle way of telling me that I need a stronger deodorant."
Wing, whiz,
Zing.
Zing, there we go. That was so fucking hard.
Just my luck. I put my trust in secret and it blabbed. What? Craven just disregards this though. He says, "You, what are you doing here? Give me a break, jungle man. Even we friendly neighborhood web spinners get the occasional hankering for hot coffee and fresh donuts." That joke is made on the assumption that he was going to wind up in the coffee shop that they were all dancing in. Craven's on like a random rooftop in that vicinity. And perhaps he was even intending to enter the very building that they're standing on. So that witty remark is based on a very, very strong inference. Oh, and he continues with this. "I'll invite you to join me, but only if you order decaf." Are you seeing my problem? Is this just me, Manny? Is this just me?
I mean, he sounds like he sounds a lot like some of the newer people out there.
Right.
Like he's just trying too hard.
Spider-Man should not be trying too hard. And I wish I had my brother has the stupid Spider-Man book with all the good stuff in it. And this looks like it's the same drawing done twice, but like slightly altered limbs. And like a little bit more intense shadow going on. Like it's almost just strikingly similar, and it's a little less dynamic than you would hope for. So right as they're about to shoot the captain or whatever, they bust in. Here's hoping he has a really good dental plan, smashes it. Like, that would have been good to say out loud, but he's thinking it to himself. Like, that would have been a pretty decent Spidey remark. He was like, "I hope you have a good dental plan." But, you know, he could have also made it into, like, a less stereotypical sounding thing as well. Like, it could have been... Here, let's see, they just... oh, Craven, I see you're hitting the dance floor. You know, like... Why am I writing better Spidey? At least in my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong, folks.
He's wrong.
Damn, that was fast.
The polls came in early.
So so from here, basically Harry Osborn's father's plan was to force him into a situation and not be a fag. So basically what happens is the guy, and what he was supposed to do was rescue Captain Stacy, but Spider-Man did that by face-planting Craven into the dance club coffee shop. Is there such thing as a dance club / coffee shop?
I have no idea.
Is it a thing? Please tell me. He winds up not doing anything, and then now he gets the chance to pick up this hoodlum's gun, and Mary Jane like eggs him on to pick it up or whatever to save the captain again because he's in mortal danger. Spider-Man can't react quick enough, except he does. We get the implication that he figures out that it's Peter because he says the same line to Spidey that he did to Peter, but to me, that's not so much, like, he's the one who, like, if Spider-Man said the same thing to him, then that, you see what I'm getting at? Anyway, I'm kind of lingering here. He kind of creeps out. He's like, "I'll just call the police." And he's like, "Oh, you're a fag." Oh. And then Craven's like, "I've come to take my revenge for you using me as a tool." And he's like, "Well, but, because you were supposed to pay me money for that thing I did a while ago." Vaguely. And he's like, "Oh, but guess what? I actually have the money for you right now." And he's like, "Oh, you took too long. Fuck that." And he leaves. So he defended his honor but then he decided not to defend his honor to defend his honor. Alright, so here's the real part though. Here's the real part that I didn't like. And look. We got, you know who we got as editor? Tom Brevoort. Our good friend. Just listen to this. This is Spider-Man's inner monologue. Married. Peter Parker, your neighborhood husband. I'm married. This is, you know, Spider-Man, super genius superhero. Spider-Man is an adult now. Not judging from this dialogue. I mean, he has to say that to himself in his own head. We got some of that self-validation going on there. I feel like I just drank a Slurpee at 90 miles an hour.
Okay.
We'll just let that one hang in the air. Brain numbed. The honeymoon with Mary Jane Watson Parker, gah, was so cool. I'm reading this exactly word for word. Coming home was a little weird. Sharing a closet, a shower, a life. This is more like it. Let me squirt my white juices all over this man. I mean, that's essentially the gist. Who am I kidding? Nothing I do is gonna get my mind off the changes I've gone through. MJ and I are married now, husband and wife. Who knows, maybe one day, mother or father, if we ever do have kids, gonna keep on being Spider. So it starts turning into legitimate Spider-Man dialogue again. You know, he starts questioning whether or not it would be fair to have kids and blah blah blah. Then he starts worrying about stupid Aunt May again. And it looks like she's dead, right? Like, this looks like his memory of good old Aunt May. You know, he's an adult now, like, there's the implication here that she's dead, except we find out later that she's still alive and she gets kidnapped. So, that was kind of set up poorly, like, I don't know. So then, Mary Jane is like, she's just annoying to me. Like, she was annoying to me in this part. So he basically, like, comes in the house and she freaks out and throws a pot lid at him. And she says, "You almost scared the cute out of me." And then he says, "Not to mention the humility." And I was right there with Peter. You should have said that a little bit louder so she could hear you. They start talking about the sexy stuff, you know? And then...
the juicy details.
Yeah. Which we don't get to see. And then we get some guy come over and finger Ben Parker, and he leaves.
Tragedy.
Alright, so then he's at the Daily Bugle again, and we got like 3 Asians.
This looks like it's setting up for a joke. 3 Asians sat in a bar.
3 Asians sat in a newsroom. We'll make that a contest. Whoever can come up with the best, like, punchline to that. 3 Asians were sitting in a newsroom, and then a white guy walked in with a camera, and I don't know, something like that. So then he's like working with a private detective guy, and he takes pictures of dead people now for crime scene stuff. We get introduced to this. This is a woman.
She's beautiful.
Isn't she? Like, if I saw her, I would probably, like...
rape her. I mean, yeah, love her forever.
Yeah, would probably you know, jizz in my pants. And then, yeah, this is a woman. We get introduced to her just for her to, like... not... I don't remember her appearing after this at any point. They, like, set up this whole... oh, it's the Dead Maker who's gonna be the one who kidnapped, Aunt May. Like, look at that face!
Beautiful.
And so it basically just sets up the exposition that they're agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the world's foremost anti-terrorist organization. They go against the Russians. Tell me where... then basically they bust these Russians just to find out, you know, tell me where we can find the Russian killer they call the Dead Maker. We want this man before he exacts his twisted revenge on an innocent old woman and her nephew. Gee, I wonder who the hell that could be. And just... you know, we gotta see Aunt May, like, being sexy in the window? Woo.
She's hot.
I don't know. So then he gripped his wood a little bit too hard, and he got a little bit of an Indian burn there.
That's a shame.
It is. Robbie Robertson. Yeah, that's his name, right? Robbie Robertson. That always cracks me up because Robbie Robertson was a member of the band. That's how I remember that guy. And no, we don't... Look. They're doing the sexy stuff. But he's still having, like, this stupid, like... feel good about the story. Like, the news story. Feel weird about sitting at home at night. Normally I'd be out swinging. Get it? Since I'm married now, that wouldn't be legal. Interesting, but not legal. Like... stop. Nothing. That's him flipping through the channels. Like, because we need that. Yeah, then it starts getting, like, heteronormal, but then he jizzes in his pants too early. He just don't last. Yeah, so Spidey ejaculates a little too early there. And, but then, like, it's actually his spider sense letting him know that a missile got shot at his house, and he's all like, a missile? And that's essentially the dialogue. He manages to, like, use his webs to get one of them somehow. I don't know how. And then he's like, and then he sees that there's another one, and that first missile is a distraction, and he's like, what do I do? Save my wife or a city block? What do I choose? I'm sorry, honey. And, like, that's pretty much, like, the most super heroic thing you see out of this entire thing. So then he's gotta play dumb, like, he's like, I don't know what happened to MJ, I'm just Peter Parker. Because he let his wife get kidnapped. And then we see that they got Aunt May and MJ, and they're all looking at this guy get his nose looked at. And they're all being forced to stare up at this guy's nose and see his boogies. Oh no, my mistake. That's Aunt May. I'm sorry.
Still.
It's
freaking me out and tripping.
It really is weird. So then... But Mary Jane, even though we were blindfolded when we were brought here, there is something so familiar about this place. As well it should, Miss Parker. It is the home of the man and woman who ruined my life. Man, and we're in Richard and Mary Parker's old apartment. This is where Peter lived as a baby. And where the son and the father will die!
You scared the crap out of me. Stop it.
I'm sorry. Joseph his father killed my... So we get the face reveal, but it's on it. It's fucking like... You see this much of his damn face. Oh, this is my face reveal. Oh. He takes off his mask and you get... That's all you get. And he's still trying to... Oh, no, the ugly man, she does show up later. Because they're helping him investigate the thing, and he's pulling a little Batman in the graveyard. So she's like, how far are a bunch of ex-KGB gonna get with an old lady and a knockout redhead? They're not being taken anywhere. They're not being taken anywhere. Because I have a very particular set of skills. It's me he wants. He's going to wait until I come to him. Fine then. If that's what he wants, then that's exactly what I'm gonna give to him. Sort of. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. That doesn't belong there. It's not funny. Yeah, blah blah blah. So he tracks them down, and then the whole fight, like, we find out that he's like, he blames, basically Peter Parker's parents were spies, and they took out this dude's father, so now he's trying to regain his honor. Okay, ready? So this is Spider-Man's wit that he uses to roast the villain with. So the guy says, and for that, I have been given the chance to regain my family's honor. And Spider-Man pops in, get ready for this. Get ready to call the ambulance to escort you to the burn ward, because he hops in and he says, honor ain't all it's cracked up to be, Bubbles. Maybe you should try to concentrate on regaining your family's sense of humor. No, maybe you should work on that, Spidey. Gotta tell you from where I'm standing, excuse me, pardon me, he's just going through pitting. That gets a pass. That's worse than shit than the musty old honor stuff. Like, first of all, it wasn't funny, and then you drag it out. Like, that could've, like, if this would have been okay if you take out this word balloon and this word balloon, and you just go, excuse me, pardon me, take them out effortlessly. Like, that's actually kind of funny. And then he gets a gun pointed at him, he's like, he just sits there like an idiot, he's like, like, that's the actual dialogue. And then Mary Jane has to save him. And this is Mary Jane before she started stealing his powers to be her own superhero. And then the guy escapes by trying to shoot Spidey in the nuts. And then we get, this is the fight scene. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25 tiny little panels on a page. This is supposed to be the cool fight scene, but we got like full giant panels of like a bunch of stupid stuff before. Like I didn't need to see up Aunt May's nose. but then the fight scene is, you can't even tell what's going on. Like that's supposed to be the cool part. They're trying to do that Frank Miller thing from Strikes Again, where it's all small and close in, it makes it intense. This does not work at all. Like, basically, the reason it works with the Frank Miller thing is because Batman has, like, 30 seconds to get to the Batcave, and Carrie Kelly is being viciously brutalized. And the up-closeness is to, like, convey that sense of urgency while also kind of, like, so that you don't have to see, like, the sexual violations going on. And it works in, like, how it's just, like, it's all, like, oh, and this is just kind of like, oops, we used up all the space, so now we have to do that. Like, I feel like this was not an artistic choice. I've been playing quick with the quip more than usual, avoiding the emotional pain this dipstick is feeling because I don't want to dredge up the same feelings I have inside of me again. Like, where were you quick with quips? Or at least good ones. You know what I mean? Like, and plus he hasn't even said one since... Oh, he says, dude, what kind of bug bit you? Never mind, it must be the same bug you got up your... And then he gets cut off. That's not funny to anyone who doesn't know where Spider-Man got his powers from, which is, like, common knowledge to us, because we're the readers. We saw, you know, Peter Parker got bit by Spider, became Spider-Man. Imagine you're just a random villain trying to kill this Spider-Man guy. You don't really know anything about him other than that you think he's the son of, like, your father's sworn enemy. And then he's just like, hey, what kind of bug bit you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Blah blah blah, you gotta... Yeah, they argue their philosophies. Oh yeah, and then we find out that Spider-Man doesn't know what the heck irony is. The Russian guys are like, these are matters of family and honor and loss. How would you know of such things? Where's a good joke when you need one? I've been wondering that the whole time. I'm glad he finally acknowledged it. And then he says, come on, I gotta land on something, PD, before that knife digs into you. Oh, there you go. Irony of ironies, the bridge. How is it ironic that they land on a bridge? Look, he basically like, pours his heart out to this. Like, they try to present it as heroic, but every time I see something like this, I don't know, like, I guess it's of no consequence because the guy already kind of knows who he is, but, like, he gets into way too much detail. He says, we have a lot more in common than you think. On this very bridge, I lost the woman I loved. Just because you land on the same bridge of that doesn't make it ironic. That's coincidence. Because of my own stupidity, I lost the closest thing I ever had to a father. Gwen was your father? Gwen was his father figure? And I never knew my own parents. They died when I was a baby. And at first, I also thought they were dishonorable people. But I used all that pain to drive me forward and not pull me back. I still have a family. Now I have a wife, and I have nothing but tomorrow to look towards. What do you have to show for everything you've lost? And then the guy's like, I have nothing. Maybe not, maybe so. You are what you make yourself. Think about it. It's just kind of like...
Wise words have never been spoken.
Yeah. I mean... He didn't have to get into that much explicit detail, I don't think, to get his point across. I think it's just kind of like... Look, you could have just skipped it here. Look. We have a lot more in common than you think. But I used all of my pain to drive me forward and not pull me back. What do you have to show for everything you've lost? Just short, sweet, and to the point. Like, this guy is not beaten up that badly to where, like, I don't think he would have sat there and listened to him that whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be short, sweet, to the point so that, like, it gets to him before he, like, catches his breath and starts fighting him again. You know what I mean? Like, he had ample opportunity, especially since he's, like, supposed to be this super soldier guy. All he did was get dropped on a bridge. Like, nothing bad has happened to him this whole time. He got punched in the face by Spider-Man a couple times, but Spider-Man got really more beat up than this guy. And then they restore Ben Parker's tombstone that got violated. And then she's like, Aunt May's all like, you know, good as new, I'll be back soon. And then Peter over here is like, till death do us part isn't really accurate, is it? No, love cannot be parted by anything. Marriage like family is forever, Peter. I know, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So they stick like that little happy ending on all of this, and it doesn't feel satisfying. It feels trite because a lot of it wasn't executed very well. That's just my opinion of it anyway. Perhaps I was being overly harsh, but you could see how there was definitely examples of what we've now seen as trends. We see Spider-Man who's not funny, he's just trying too hard to be funny, instead of actually just, you know, roasting the villains. And we get him get saved by his own wife that he was rescuing from a hostage situation. We get him saying, you know, a bunch of stupid stuff in his inner monologue, basically OMGing the whole time. And we have bad compositions, we have an ugly woman that's all tough and shit. This started a lot sooner than any of us ever suspected. And I think the only way I can wrap this all up is just to say, that's what a real woman looks like.